Hi, this is Faith at House Fraud Homestead coming to you in a very imperfect state today on the floor of my, we call it the craft room, it's my little witchy room, to talk about a fairly, in my opinion, profound experience I had last night and this morning that has made some things clear to me that I think might be beneficial to some folks. I've been stewing on, that would be the girls chasing each other. I've been stewing on a fairly prescriptive how to recover from homestead and homemaker burnout video, and as much for me as for anybody else, and I keep rethinking the strategy behind it and trying to make it this very structured path where you impose control on things and you dig yourself out of a perceived hole, basically. And I've had experiences in the last 24 hours that are making me rethink that philosophy. I have an ongoing practice of hypnosis as a means of like subconscious surgery and recovering from some issues in my past, and I had a spot treatment last night to try and overcome my recurring pattern of rigidly overworking and then sabotaging myself in turn. So burning myself out and then just not doing anything so that I'm more behind, and you know, the cycle continues. And through that modality, I arrived at some forgiveness for that, but the real transformation was evident to me this morning. I've been trapped in a cycle of not necessarily resenting all of my animals, but there's a disconnect between what I give to them and what I am allowing myself to receive from them, I think. So there's a lot of imposing control and trying to fix things about them, and it creates a lot of friction and guilt and kind of doesn't do any favors for the relationship with them. So the two instances after that session that were standouts for me were after, you know, I tried to get myself to bed at a reasonable hour, and which is I've had a hard time doing, and that was one of those rigid expectations I held myself to, like, oh, I have failed for the day if I am not in bed by this time to get X hours of sleep, and then you just start your day and end your day in debt every day, and that's not a great feeling. Instead of, you know, insisting that I get to bed on time, which it wasn't on time anyway, it was already very late, one of my older cats who hasn't wanted to play in an unusual time and place. And instead of, no, I will play with you at designated playtime tomorrow at this time when you don't want to play, I actually listened to him in an imperfect environment at an imperfect time, just grabbing a random thing. I think I used a necklace or something. And we just had an impromptu play session for the first time in months, where he was actually engaged and happy to be there. And it was the first time in a very long time that I'd felt like I was making them happy and not just keeping them alive. So, which, you know, was a better way for me to feel about my animals than I'd felt in some time. We had a lot of health scares with them last year, and I kind of internalized a lot of the guilt from that, and have been helicopter momming them a bit ever since then. So there's an element of perfectionism that I'd brought to my stewardship that this experience kind of led me to realize that that rigidity is not actually serving the stewardship mission, I guess, that I have. And then this morning, we also have a piggy. I'm not sure if I mentioned that on this channel. We have a 8-month-old mini pig that we're still adjusting to. When she wants something, she is demanding. And that has posed some friction when, like, you want to sleep in, or you're in the middle of something else you're doing and you would like, 10 more minutes please before you have to drop everything and attend to her. This morning, instead of insisting that I finish my routine and, resenting her the whole time for being loud and all that stuff, I just listened to her this morning and went out to do my animal routine about an hour earlier, maybe more than I usually do. And I discovered that it is fucking glorious outside at 6:30 in the morning when it's cooler than in the house, and none of the bugs are very active yet. It's dewy, all the flowers are bright. So it was just this reticular activating system feast for the senses that I would have missed out on if I hadn't listened to her. And in getting out into the garden earlier, I was more attentive to the plants in the garden. I noticed more weeds that I was able to pull. I found more hidden fruits that I was able to harvest. And it was just, I finally felt like those loops that had been disconnected between what I'm getting, or what I'm giving to all of these responsibilities, and what I'm receiving from them was finally closed. And it didn't take me getting into a perfect system where I function like clockwork and I'm a robotic farm implement that just gets things done at a predictable, profitable time. It was listening to life forms that I'm coming to realize know better than me about what they need. And hell, they might know better than me about what I need. So it's just been this profound revelation that I don't need to be imposing knowledge on them or what I think I know better. I really just need to be listening. And I think if I just listened, there would be less of this sense of friction, less of this guilt, less of this feeling like I'm doing them wrong. And I'm gonna this is a kind of a case study in the broken window effect of me imposing my will on plants. I'm gonna try it on plants too. I've been subjecting mine to a pretty formalized watering routine that's they're not doing great on. They don't get, watered on a schedule, but they get checked on a schedule and watered as needed. But I think I'm just gonna start relaxing that and seeing if I can just listen to them better and let them tell me what they need when they need it. I think that's gonna serve both of us better. So, yeah, that was just a interesting observation for the day that I wanted to throw out there in case anyone else is struggling with burnout in that way from trying to impose order. I think in caretaking roles like homesteading and homemaking, it's very easy to feel like you are so responsible for so many things and it all falls on you to get it right. And if you don't, like, there's this existential horror that you have ruined something's life. And, that gets heavy. And I think what I'm coming to realize is that you have to trust them to know what's good for them on some instinctual level. And if you can do that, they'll tell you. And if you can listen to them and heed their needs when they're brought before you, then it yields better outcomes for both of you. And, my resistance to this had been, oh, I'm supposed to be at my desk by this time, yada, 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 for what is fundamentally a bullshit job. And that's an arbitrary expectation that I put on myself. I work from home, I have flexibility, I can reasonably get on when I see fit. And I've just made myself wrong arbitrarily in so many ways that I've been carrying a Sisyphean boulder around of guilt that makes everything a contest. Or not even a contest, just I'm not listening to the animals and the plants that I'm taking care of, I'm just trying to finally feel like I'm not a fuck up. And I'm not listening to them, and I'm not enjoying them fundamentally. I'm just trying to get everything to a point where it's not hemorrhaging. And, you know, basically with my hands around their necks, trying to say, like, you know, please be well, or else. Be well so I can be well. And that's not been working. So it finally feels now like there's a relationship and not a imposition of my will on theirs and a friction of choice there. And maybe this applies to parenting too. I don't know. That's not a experience I've had. But yeah, it's kind of amazing. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you're in one of these positions, just listening to your plants or your animals, your kids, or whoever, whatever is under your care, and seeing what changes, seeing where they lead you, seeing the world through their eyes, and it's pretty magical. So yeah, that's for the day. I'll have another video hopefully this weekend sometime. Husband's out of town, so when the cat's away, the mice will create more responsibilities for themselves. So, yeah, I'm gonna go shower and, you know, start the more structured part of my day. But thanks to everyone who's left kind remarks on my past videos. It's very encouraging. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something here. So, I hope this is of value. Let me know if you have any thoughts on this subject, and if not, I will see you in the next one. Bye.